family, country. What's up, guys? Today, what's on the agenda? Say real quick. Today, we're talking about Denzel Washington and his faith. Really, his public display of faith in Hollywood, in his life, whether a speech, an interview, or an acceptance award. Denzel Washington gives a relatable, down-to-earth view of living in the world and striving to be a man of God. I hope this inspires you and challenges you to be a better person at the end of the day. I really got a lot from it, so I liked it. There's a ton of nuggets of information that you're going to get. I will have to stop and comment. As you know, the laws of a reaction video, you can't just let it play the whole time and me watching it, although that's a non-verbal reaction. I'm also going to leave the links below just in case you want to watch them in their entirety later. So let's go ahead and get this started. First one I'm going to watch is a acceptance. It is a commencement address. We're going to check out Denzel's commencement address. So let's check that out and listen along.
Mr. Jones, thank you. And thank you for inviting me, Mr. President, hip-hop president. Can you spit? You do a little bit, a little Nas, a little Jigga. No, we're in Louisiana. That's right. What is it? Cash Money All Star. Lil Weezy. Not Lollipop though. Not Lollipop. But thank you for having me. Let me take this moment to first of all, wholeheartedly. I guess I can do this without my glasses. I can see. Huh? Maybe. Let me take this moment to wholeheartedly congratulate each and every one of you today. You graduated. You did it. You made it. Congratulations to you. And you did it all by yourselves. Nobody helped you. No, that's not true. That's what I thought when I was young. I starting to really make it as an actor. I came in. I talked to my mother. I said, "Ma, did you think that this was going to happen? I'd be so big, and I'll be able to take care of everybody, and I can do this, and I can do that, and I can." She said, "Boy, stop it right there. Stop it right there. Stop it right there." He said, if you only knew how many people that had been praying for you, how many prayer groups she put together, how many prayer cloths she gave me, how many times she splashed me with holy water.
You could see right there, as a younger man, maybe you're not really thinking about how many times someone has put in a prayer. And what he's saying, his mom put in a lot of prayer and had a lot of people praying for him to get him to the point that he's at. And he recognizes that. And I think we could all relate to that.
To save my sorry behind her, she said it. She said, "Oh, you did it by yourself? I tell you what you can do by yourself. You can go outside, get a mop and bucket and wash them windows. You can do that by yourself." Superstar. So I'm saying that to say I want to congratulate all the parents and friends and family and aunties and uncles and grandmothers and grandfathers and teachers and friends and enemies. All the people that helped you to get where you are today. Congratulations to you all.
That's a good lesson. You know, a lot of times people, especially in hip hop, I did it myself. I made it on my own. I didn't need anybody's help. I'm self-made. I'm self this. I'm self that. You got to have a customer. You got to sell. There's got to be a form of loyalty, or, this. If you're an artist, someone's got to listen to your music. You could be as cocky as you want to be, but if nobody listens to you, what does that even mean? Is there such thing as self-made? And if God's for you, who could be against you as well? So, God's opening those doors. If he wanted that door to be closed, it'll be closed. And there's nothing you can't do a thing about it. So I really like where he's going right here, where he's talking about thanking everybody who helped this person get to the position they need to get to. And I think we need to think about that a lot in life. I know a lot of times we like to have that self-made, and it's good to have that self-made, like, hey, yeah, I did this on my own with help from this person. This person was giving out information. This person was giving out information on YouTube. You did your part, but it was a collective that made you at the end of the day. It's a collective that makes the king. The king's nobody without his army and his power that comes from a collective. Doesn't come from him. The only person, well, only the creator can draw power from himself. We were created in a way where we draw power from even what we eat. We're not self-sustainable. We need to eat something that comes from the earth. God has made us dependent in that way. We are dependent in communities. The reason why I can go to tomorrow and order my contacts is because somebody went and studied that. Collectively, I benefit. And collectively, the eye doctor benefits when I go and see them. And I've been seeing them for a couple of years. And if nobody liked them and no one came back, then maybe they wouldn't have as much success as they had. So at the end of the day, our success is dependent on each other, no matter how silly we want to try to be. And act like we don't need anybody when everything needs a consumer in one way, shape, or form. So that's a good way to stay humble, is knowing that we all play a part in the world. You might see someone who's a janitor, you might see someone who's a doctor, you might see someone who's a celebrity, and they're all playing a role. And in the grander scheme of things, as long as all three of those people are doing what God wants, then they all have an equal role in God's eyes. Only man will value somebody based upon something they do to go make a living. Let's listen on.
I'm going to tell about 2-3 stories. I'm going to keep it real short. I remember my graduation, speaker got up there, went on forever, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to keep it short. Number one, put God first.
There you go. So I'm going to read, my daughter's been telling me this verse a lot, and I wanted to share it. When I heard him say that, I knew I was going to share this verse. The verse my daughter shared with me is Matthew 6:33, New King James Version. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. I could really expand upon that. How often do we do that every day? Or do we seek first all those things that we think should be added to us, and then a little bit of seeking the kingdom of God and his righteousness? Let's listen on. I really like that. I know it's so simple, but sometimes those simple statements have so many layers to them.
Put God first in everything you do. Everything that you think you see in me, everything that I've accomplished, everything that you think I have, and I have a few things, everything that I have is by the grace of God. Understand that.
I like that. Humble, successful, top of his game. He knows where it came from.
A gift. 40 years ago, March 27th, 1975, it was 40 years ago, just this past March. I was flunking out of college. I had a 1.7 grade point average. I hope none of you can relate. I had a 1.7 grade point average. I was sitting in my mother's beauty shop. They still call it beauty shops now? What they call it now? Yeah, I'll sit in the beauty parlor. I was sitting in my mother's beauty parlor, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I see behind me this woman under the dryer. And every time I looked up, she was looking at me, just looking me in the eye. And I didn't know who she was, and I said, she said, somebody give me a pen, give me a pencil, I have a prophecy. March 27, 1975, she said, boy, you are going to travel the world and speak to millions of people. Now, mind you, I was flunked out of college.
That's amazing. When God has a prophecy for you, it doesn't matter if you believe it. It doesn't matter if you can't see it. It doesn't matter if the circumstances say otherwise. It doesn't matter if you say otherwise. God's got a prophecy for you, and if you will hold on to it, you can fulfill what God has for you.
I'm thinking about joining the army. I didn't know what I was going to do, and she's telling me I'm going to travel the world and speak to millions of people. Well, I have traveled the world.
Now just imagine that. I mean, he has traveled the world. He's Denzel Washington, he has spoke to millions of people, especially on the screen, maybe even billions of people. But he was at that time in a beauty shop, failing in college, thinking about joining the army. A low-level job, probably starting out, especially with those low scores. Let's hear what he has to say. I wonder how much faith he had in that prophecy, because that woman knew and had more faith maybe in that prophecy than he did at that time. Let's listen.
And I have spoke to millions of people. But that's not the most important thing, the success that I had. The most important thing is that what she taught me and what she told me that day has stayed with me since. I've been protected. I've been directed. I've been corrected.
I like that. Protected, directed, and corrected.
I've kept God in my life, and it's kept me humble. I didn't always stick with him, but he always stuck with me.
That part right there. Gotta always stick with you. You might be listening right now, and you ain't right. You need to get right. And he stuck with you. He's still there, even though you didn't stick with him.
So stick with him in everything you do. If you think you want to do what you think I've done, then do what I've done and stick with God. Number 2, fail big. That's right. Fail big. Today is the beginning of the rest of your life, and it can be very frightening. It's a new world out there. It's a mean world out there, and you only live once. So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances professionally.
I like this. Fail big. If you've chased anything in life, any great attainable things, you've had to have failed. I have failed many a times. Yeah, I've succeeded, but I failed more times. I think that's part of it until you start succeeding, is to follow what God has put in your heart and told you to do. And like you said, you only got one life. You don't want to be, Lord willing, you get to be old, but to be old and be like, I didn't take that chance. I didn't do this. I was always petrified of fear. And God doesn't even give us a spirit of fear. So you know where that comes from.
Don't be afraid to fail. There's an old IQ test, was 9 dots. And you had to draw 5 lines with a pencil within these 9 dots without lifting the pencil. The only way to do it was to go outside the box. So don't be afraid to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to
Yeah, you don't got to be a cookie cutter Christian that you need to fit this mold. I mean, you need to dress like this. It's not really like that anymore. A lot of times it used to be back in the day where they said you couldn't have long hair, and lo and behold, Jesus had long hair. It was under Jewish culture and law about them cutting their hair when they could cut their hair for mourning, things like that. But mainly Jewish men didn't cut their hair. And here we go, fast forward in modern day church, and they're shaming the guy who's not cutting his hair. That's crazy. And nobody was able to correlate that because everybody just listened to what the pastor said. And then you have that mob mentality, or peer pressure, where if one person is pushing a way to act, then everybody else joins. It's kind of like that sheep, well, we are the sheep, but it's kind of sheep in a bad way, where we're all just deciding to ostracize somebody because they're different. And they're not different where they're sinning. They're just original. So, yeah, be original.
think outside the box. Don't be afraid to fail big, to dream big. But remember, dreams without goals are just dreams, and they ultimately fuel disappointment. So have dreams, but have goals, life goals, yearly goals, monthly goals, daily goals. I try to give myself a goal every day.
I like that. I definitely have a bunch of lists. Put it on my phone a lot. One thing I hate about putting notes on my phone is that I won't look at it. One thing I hate about putting alarm notes is I have 30 alarms going off in the day. And then one thing I hate about writing it down is I'll leave the paper at home or in the car or here or there. I think the best some of the best forms of creating a goal, if you're going to create a goal, one of the best ways or some of the best ways to do it, I would say, is one, you get the dry erase board and you write down your goal, and you can look at that in the morning, put it behind you or up by the bathroom where you get ready, somewhere where you frequent. Usually people brush their teeth in the morning and in the night, wash their face. So you put it in the bathroom, you're able to kind of see your goals every day. And I saw somebody who bought them a special book and they carried it everywhere with them, and they'd open it up and they'd have their goals for the day. Now, I don't know if they had some personal aspirational goals that were, 3-month, year, etc. But they did use that for their day-to-day goals, and they would try to cross that out. Even Elon Musk has a list where he has a hierarchy of those goals. He tries to knock out as many goals as he can and cross them out. And know that you're never going to knock all the goals out in a day. And if you do, congratulations, and set the bar higher. Always try to go to bed tired and accomplish those goals.
Sometimes it's just to not curse somebody out. Simple goals, but have goals. And understand that to achieve...
Hey, that's a real goal right there, trying not to cuss somebody out. For real, especially as a Christian, and you used to cuss and you don't cuss no more, and then, yeah, that's a goal.
To achieve these goals, you must apply discipline and consistency. In order to achieve your goals, you must apply discipline, which you have already done, and consistency every day, not just on Tuesday and miss a few days. You have to work at it every day. You have to plan every day. You've heard the saying, we don't plan to fail, we fail to plan.
So I want to touch on this because everybody watches the ads where people are going to tell you how to do the next big thing in TikTok. Maybe they're going to show you how to run a business or how to make money out of an idea, how to be better at an occupation or better at the idea or entrepreneurial occupation that you're following, like whatever that falls in, whether that be like finance, business, etc. One thing that I think everybody's searching for, and I spoke on this before, but I'm going to speak on this again because it's super important, is that it's all about consistency at the end of the day. If you don't have that, you don't have anything. You plug away at it regardless and relentlessly, day in and day out. You know you failed when you've made yourself an excuse and you bought your own excuse on why you no longer do it. And then you try to sell it to me. And, most of the time I'll tell you I'm not buying it. But if I know that you're not going to listen and I'm just speaking hot air, I just won't waste my breath. I won't believe your excuse, but I'll believe that you believe your excuse. One thing that Denzel's saying right there is, here he is sitting on a big body of work. He's famous. He's done a lot in his life and in Hollywood acting wise, and he's done a great job at it, and he's very successful. And what he's saying is what I hear all people say again and again and again, is stay consistent. So what I wanted to say was, remember that while you're searching for all these key ingredients and these people are hyping you up with their sound bites and their clips and they're showing you pictures of this and that, but they're not giving you really any real true information, it's just cap. Consistency is, if they haven't told you about consistency, and applying that. And if you haven't applied consistency in whatever you're trying to do, I mean, who are you? What's the excuse? Like, there's really nothing else you can say. If you can't take care of the basics, how are you going to conquer the matrix? Stop it. Now let's keep listening.
Hard work works. Mm-hmm. Working really hard is what successful people do. And in this text, tweet, twerk world that you've grown up in, remember, just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Remember?
Watch how he broke that down. He said hard work, but he said watch how you work. Denzel's cooking. I'm going to let him finish cooking.
That just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Don't confuse movement with progress. My mother told me, she said, yeah, because you can run in place all the time and never get anywhere. So
True.
Continue to strive, continue to have goals, continue to progress.
You can meaningfully and sincerely run in place. You could be good intentioned and run in place. Makes a ton of sense.
Number 3, you'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. I'll say it again. You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. I don't care how much money you make, you can't take it with you. The Egyptians tried it. They got robbed.
Yeah, you can't take it with you. That's funny he brought up the Egyptians tried to take their wealth with them. Even some people, they were killed in the process to take with them, and they couldn't take any of it with them. Not at all. Not a one.
That's all they got. You can't take it with you. And it's not how much you have. It's what you do with what you have. We all have different talents. Some of you will be doctors, some lawyers, some scientists, some educators, some nurses, some teachers. Yeah, okay. Some preachers. The most selfish thing you can do in this world is help someone else. Why is it selfish? Because the gratification, the goodness that comes to you, the good feeling that I get from helping others, nothing.
Yeah, that's true. It even says in the Bible, those being evil know how to give to each other. How much more will your Father know? Well, why do evil people give to other evil people? Because it feels good. God was teaching us in the Bible that his gifts are way better, but what he's saying is it feels good. It's a lot of people sometimes give just so they can either have a story, makes them feel good, or it makes, or they just want to feel good inside for doing it. And they're doing it for a selfish reason only. Some people do it for both. I think that no matter what, if you're going to help somebody even out of the goodness of your heart and you don't want to, you're going to feel good about it eventually.
Nothing's better than that. Well, one or two things, but nothing's better than that. Not jewelry, not big house I have, not the cars, but it's the joy. That's where the joy is, in helping others. That's where the success is, in helping others. Finally, I pray that you put your slippers way under the bed tonight, so that when you wake up in the morning, you have to get on your knees to reach them. And while you're down there, say thank you for grace. Thank you for mercy. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for wisdom. Thank you for parents. Thank you for love. Thank you for kindness. Thank you for humility. Thank you for peace. Thank you for prosperity. Say thank you in advance for what's already yours. That's how I live my life. That's why I am, one of the reasons why I am today.
Wow, you listen right there. He's just gave you another recipe, is thanking God in advance. Thanking God for what he's already done and what he's going to do. And also, he said, put your slippers under the bed. And the reason he said that is so when you get up in the morning, you got to get down on your knees. And while you're down there, take care of the business you need to take care of. I like it.
Say thank you in advance for what is already yours. True desire in the heart for anything good is God's proof to you, sent beforehand to indicate that it's yours already.
Truth. So listen to what he said right there. He said, for anything good. So I'll be over here wanting something that's bad for you, or wanting to do something that's out of God's will, or wanting something that's against the kingdom of God. If I come from the music industry, I used to do secular music. I used to rap a certain way that I won't rap anymore. I still make music. I just like it. It's therapy to me. I'm never going to stop making it. But I won't do what is against God's kingdom. And even as I write music that's not worship music, it's just like life music, which you could say can't be separated, which I agree. But just saying, making just a song that's not a worship song, and making the song where it's not dishonoring other human beings. It's not about talking about perpetuating to children, the younger generation, to glorify a lifestyle. I'm not, I know we just spoke about this on the channel, but I think it's important. When Jesus was sitting there and the little children were there, and I think one came, sat on his lap or sat on his knee, and he said, if any of you cause one of these little children to sin, it'd be better for you if a millstone was tied around your neck and thrown into the deepest part of the ocean, which is pretty much an all bad situation. Jesus said it's all bad a couple of times in the Bible, and really pressed in. For Judas, he said it would be better if he was never born. So when he's using these extreme analogies of like you being thrown to the deepest part of the ocean, which you wouldn't even, you drown before you get there. And then you'd have the millstone, even if you could be down there, and you wouldn't be able to get out of it. He's saying that whatever you think, he's just saying, look, I'm here to protect the children of God. So when I'll use the example that I know. When you're making music, and that music is talking about things that are outside the kingdom of God, that line's got to get drawn. And that line has been drawn a lot lately. And for the most part, secular music's going to choose, like Cat Williams said, there's God's side, and then there's the other side. So you can sit here and play yourself all you want, but at the end of the day, you can make a choice by not making a choice. You could lie to yourself and pretend that you made the right choice, but you still, if God sets the rules on what's qualified and what's disqualified, at the end of the day, is God's way or the highway. Is Yahweh, but never Yahweh. So I really like what he said, and he said it. You could see that he really spent his time preparing this speech, because he's breaking down the content. He's saying, hey, work hard, but don't run around and waste your time while you're working hard to the point where you, just because you've got movement, you think you're doing something. And then he's saying, if you do something, thank God for it every day, and thank God for what's going to come that you can't even see. And that's why you put your slippers under there. And whatever it is that you're trying to do, as long as it's good and God put it in your heart, then you're good. One of my favorite speeches of all time.
I'll say it again. True desire in the heart, that itch that you have, whatever it is you want to do, that thing that you want to do to help others and to grow and to make money, that desire, that itch, that's God's proof to you, sent beforehand already to indicate that it's yours. And anything you want good, you can have. So claim it. Work hard to get it. When you get it, reach back. Pull someone else up. Teach one.
That part right there, we don't have enough of that nowadays. It's like I said, once somebody makes it, they're like, oh, I'm self-made, I did it on my own. No, you didn't. Mainly you hear that in music, and like I said, all these artists need fans to be able to say that. So they didn't do it themselves. People are listening to them because they like them. And if he pissed everybody off to the point of, even if he had good music, he could very well lose his following, etc. Fortunately for most people in the world, people like people that are mean and cocky, even to their fans. It can still go well for them. So let's listen on.
Don't just aspire to make a living. Aspire to make a difference.
That makes a lot of sense. Whatever you choose to do, choose to make a difference. No matter what you do, make a difference. Even if that's the side passion, even if you got to go, whatever that looks like, make a difference. I've said this before. This is my quote. I'll share it with you guys. You got fingerprints and footsteps. You may have made some really bad footsteps. You may have left some fingerprints that you didn't want to leave. But that means, you say but, it means forget everything you just said. So you now focus on leaving good footsteps and good fingerprints. So if somebody came and forensically looked at your life spiritually, they could see that you were walking where you needed to be and handling the things that you needed to handle. And those footsteps, sometimes they leave impressions in the soil, and somebody else might be able to see those. So make sure you're helping steer people in the right path. Even if, I get you, you may have not in the past. Nobody's worried about the past but the devil, especially for someone that's given their life to Jesus Christ. I think this is it. I think this is it for this speech, but let's listen on, and then I'm going to play the next one.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was good.